Fifth day, probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to leave Pamplona to go to Puenta la Reina. It's supposed to rain today, but I think it's going to take about 5 to 6 hours, 25k or so. Nice rest, one day, but you got to get on the road again. Walked for 50 minutes so far. I think I'm out of Pamplona now, so starting to look like countryside again. Got a few people, but not as packed as the day I left Bulgaria. It's cool right now, overcast, perfect temperature. Hopefully I don't get thunderstorm, then I'll be happy. Have to stop for a cup of coffee and can't decide if I just sit there and wait for the rain to pass or just try my luck. Well, this is what looks like up ahead. I think storm is coming, and we'll see. First time in heavy rain, possibly. Hour and a half into it, after a cup of coffee, the sky does not look promising, and that's the direction I'm going. Off the sunflower field, and right now there are people ahead, but quite a ways ahead. You can hardly see, and I know there are quite a few people back there in the cafe. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. Feels good. Spain is hot, they say. Spain is sunny, they say. Those windmills, that's where I'm going, I think. And there was a cute little town back there, and a church that we passed. I got a stamp there. Now, I don't know how much longer, but probably 2-3 hours.
I've reached the Alto del Perdón, or the Mount of Forgiveness. The iconic sculpture of 12 pilgrims stood at the windy peak next to the towering wind turbines was erected in 1996. Where the path of the wind crosses was that of the stars, other words inscribed on the sculpture. The site depicts the stages of the pilgrimage throughout the centuries. This location is a traditional site where pilgrims ask for forgiveness, forgive others, and let go of what weighs on them.
When you have steep downhill, it's almost always easier to run than to walk, as long as you find your footing correctly. Oh shit, I got a lot of sand in my shoes. Another 4.7 miles before I get to the destination for today, Puenta la Reina. And I have an albergue there for tonight, dormitory style, but I'll give it another try. If I get a decent sleep, I'll continue to do albergues, otherwise probably hotels. But just passing through another cute little town. I'm definitely hungry again. I had a few fruits for breakfast, but I've walked over maybe 11 miles now, so definitely getting hungry. Tip number 1, pack light. Carry a light backpack. Tip number 2, take care of your feet. Wear the right shoes, right socks. Moisturize your feet. Tip number 3, you won't get lost. Roads are really well marked. Tip number 4, this is not for everyone. I wouldn't worry too much about rain gear. I have a poncho and I've used it. Today it was torrential rain. I put my poncho on. In the end, when I take it off, I'm soaking wet anyway. Just make sure your essentials are protected. Tip number 5, bring walking sticks. On flat ground, it gets muddy and slippery.
By mid-afternoon, I arrived at my albergue Estrella Guia in the town of Puenta la Reina, the Bridge of the Queen. I was able to upgrade my pilgrim's bed to a private room with my own bathroom. I showered, washed my clothes, and headed out to town to get a quick lunch of Camino's famous tortilla de patata. The bridge is the most prominent feature in town. I ran into Martin of Germany, Isabel of Sweden, Carol of Seattle, and her friend from China. We had dinner together. Martin, Isabel, and I extended our evening entertainment by visiting local bars, since none of us had time restriction to our respective albergues. We shared a bottle of Martin's wine sitting on the bridge and talked till 1:30 in the morning. We may regret it the next day.